Hello and welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. I do not have a video intro for you today, my listeners, because I am trying to get this out as soon as possible. And so in doing so, I don't have time to set up the camera and everything. But don't worry, next week it'll be a full video episode. I think it might actually be a solo episode this week. I have to look at the schedule. But I am currently in lathered in fake tan because I was unhappy with the tan that the cruise I just went on produced. And so I ran out to Walgreens and I last minute got this L'Oreal Sublime Tan Mousse thing as a last ditch effort because I am really, really insecure about my arms. And I am going to a wedding tomorrow night. And I will have my arms out there. It is an open back, open arm situation. And when I got it at the time, I was like, this will be a good test, a good immersion therapy thing for me to do. And boy, am I regretting that now. So we're going to try to tan these puppies up to make them look less glaring and offensive. So that's what I got going on right now. I will tell you all about the cruise I just went on. I experienced many emotions, many highs, many lows out there on the deep, dark blue sea, and I'll recap everything for you next week. Follow us on Instagram at I Feel Fat Today. Follow me on Instagram at Hello, This is Kelly. Subscribe to us on YouTube and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I put out a call to action a few weeks ago on my Instagram for people to leave reviews at Apple Podcasts for I Feel Fat Today. And a few of you came through, and I really, really appreciate that a lot. I want you to know that. And so if you haven't yet and want to, keep me going on God's green earth, please leave a review because it helps my sanity. Okay. I have a bunch I want to talk to you about, but I want to be in a better headspace. I want to feel better physically, and that'll be all for next week. But this week, I have an awesome guest. We had a wonderful conversation, and I am so happy that I had her on. And personally, for me, it was a really good conversation for me to have someone the few days before leaving for a beach vacation because I was feeling incredibly insecure, and a lot of the things that she said really helped my mental and made me feel, less self-conscious and more confident going out there and just, existing in the body that I got. And she's really funny. She's a stand-up comedian. You can catch her on the next Hot Box with Denise Sibbs. That's sometime in November. I'll put the link in the description. Please welcome to the podcast, Christy Hall.
Absolutely. And so how long have you lived in New York, Brooklyn?
I've lived in New York since 2011.
And where are you from?
Arkansas, originally.
Arkansas. That's right. I knew it was somewhere southern, but I couldn't remember where.
Yeah, the natural state, they call it.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why?
Because of all the natural beauty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there natural beauty there?
Arkansas is really pretty.
I've never been to Arkansas.
Lots of people don't go there.
Yeah.
It's a bit of it's in the flyover zone.
Why would you?
Folks.
Yeah.
There's not a ton to do. There's a diamond mine. And some people actually find diamonds in the diamond mine.
Okay, that's
there's
cool.
Some caves and stuff like that. There's hiking.
Yeah.
There's farming. There's a city called Little Rock. It's like a tiny little cityscape that you see.
Oh yeah, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I do know that.
It's cute. It's cute. There's a college or two. And
yeah. In my mind, I'm gonna end up going to every single state with comedy. That's just how I look at it. I haven't been to Arkansas yet.
Yeah.
Arkansas or Arkansas?
Arkansas. The S is confusing.
Yeah.
It's spelled like Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like us too.
Yeah. Or pirate. Kansas.
Kansas. Yeah, it's spelled like that. but it's not. It's not said that way at all.
So did you go from Arkansas to New York?
Straight here.
Straight here.
Yeah. It's
I
like
love
no
that.
detours. I bought a one-way ticket, and I was like, well, guess I'm doing this thing now.
That's great. Oh, was your family like,
oh,
you're not going to make it?
My mom was so worried.
Yeah.
My mom was so, because like, I'm real friendly and like I'm real friendly and smiley. I've been told that I'm a shiny person. I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm clearly not from New York. Whenever like I feel like I'm clearly not from here.
Right.
And that's okay. So my mom was very like concerned that people would be mean to me or take advantage of me, or that honestly I would get like hurt and like mugged and like these things do happen to people, but like so far solid.
Hey,
like,
that's great.
Real solid.
Yeah, and you've been here for almost over 10 years.
I've been here over 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been here over 10 years, which makes me, I think, an official New Yorker.
That's a New Yorker.
That's one of the things.
Yeah. I think so.
One of the rules of being a New Yorker is you have to stay here. And I didn't leave during the pandemic. I'm a proper New Yorker.
High five.
Like I stuck it out.
Same.
I doubled down.
I stayed in this apartment.
Yeah. See, I doubled down. I bought property during the pandemic.
Oh.
I bought a place. I was like, I'm not going. I'm staying.
I think that if I could go back in time, and if I knew COVID was going to happen and all that stuff, I would have set myself up so that in 2020 I would buy property.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't know it was going to happen, but my husband and I, we'd been talking about wanting to like buy a place anyway. So we were like, well, and we had like this plan, like about 2 years into being together, we were like, well, this is it. We're done, right?
Right.
And we're like, well, let's figure out what we want to do next. We were like, well, I guess we want to live here in New York. We should probably buy something because eventually we're going to want to stop paying rent. So like, let's figure that out. And we made a plan and stuck to it. And
wow. So adult.
Then the pandemic happened and real estate got real cheap.
Yeah.
and mortgage rates got real low. And we were like, this is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
It was great.
That's perfect.
Not the pandemic, but the buying was great.
Yeah.
That was so solid. It was awesome.
We were talking about this before last time we saw each other, that the pandemic sucked for many reasons, but work from home, remote work.
Nice. I can't go back.
Yeah. Like, no, I know. Same. Because now when I do meet up with coworkers, it's such a treat.
Yeah.
I'm like, what a fun day we're going to have, you know?
Yes.
Whereas pre-pandemic, going into work day in and day out, I was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
No.
I'm dying. It
was exactly. I felt like I was so burned out. Like I was burnt out. And then we all went remote and I was like, interesting. And I had another level of like being burnt out because we were servicing like I work at like an ed tech company. So
yeah.
like I was another level of burnout because like now we're trying to figure out how do we get all this content to all these students around, like, and all these schools are closed and we're having to support all these teachers. So that was a different layer. But then once I got past that, I was like, I'm at home with my cat in a blanket in my pajamas in this meeting.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is actually good.
I had the same exact sort of the trajectory of what you've explained is exactly what I went through.
Yeah.
Very, very much. And then what really leveled me up was when I got a new job during the pandemic and things became a lot easier, just because like when you get a new job, like you're in a new environment, like you're in a totally new structure.
Yeah.
And it made it be like, because even when I get stressed now, because I have the same job that I got during the pandemic, and it gets really crazy, and I really have to stop and be like, you are at home right now. Like literally take the dog on a little walk if you want to like relax and decompress, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so.
My decompression is I put my whole face on the cat.
That's great.
Like if I'm stressed, I'm like, where's Stella? Hold on. I'm gonna put a face on you, just rub it around in there. And she's like, okay.
She's a therapy cat.
She really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so grew up in Arkansas. What was the family dynamics like? What was the house?
The house was, for the most part, my sister and I, my mom and my dad. So my parents, very much in love, stayed together, set a really good example, actually. I think about that more often than not. Because that's like I'm finding more and more that's actually a rarity, and
Yeah.
But they were just very sweet to each other.
Oh, that's so nice.
Very sweet. I know they argued. Everyone argues, but like they were very good about like not putting that on us.
Yeah.
And like not like showing us they could like have a civil discussion, and it wasn't like fuck you all the time. Sorry for immediately f-bombing.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We curse here.
But it wasn't really like that. And my dad, I have 3 half siblings from my dad's previous marriage, and they were around sometimes too. 2 brothers and a sister. And
Wow.
Yeah, and very very sweet family. Very very gentle folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's important, or I think it's interesting rather, that growing up around parentals that don't sling insults at each other.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to so many people through the course of this podcast, especially talking about like what the dynamics were like growing up, and like people were mean to each other, abusive at times. And it's nice to hear that somebody came from a very gentle upbringing.
Everyone was real sweet about it.
Yeah.
Everyone was just real freaking sweet. My sister and I, we're 4 years apart, and we did have like a bit of like when you're younger, and like a bit of like the sibling, like not even like rivalry. I'm not a competitive person, so Stacy's incredibly competitive,
Yeah.
and I'm not, which I think probably did cause her some frustration, because like you're wanting to like play the thing, and I'm like, nah,
Not caring.
I don't care if I win or if I lose. I don't care if anyone wins or loses.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
I just can't be bothered to care. So that was like, I feel like there was a bit of like occasional like butting heads when we lived together. Then when she went to college, like we just became like really really close.
Same thing
She
with my
moved
brother
away.
and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went away, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, you were great.
Yeah.
And also like being like, oh hi, hi little one, hi Fanny, but being like, yes,
Come
would
here.
you like some attention?
Come over here, buddy.
Yeah,
Come on.
just a little.
Go on that side of the coffee table.
I'll make space.
Come on, right here, buddy. There
You're
you
doing
go.
so good. A tail like a firework too. Look at that little pom pom.
She went off to college.
Yeah, she went off to college, and but I remember when I was younger, like I remember wanting to hang out with Stacy,
Yeah.
and not being cool enough, because I'm like, she was
You're a
like,
little sister.
I'm a little sister, and I'm awkward, and like into like I read, and I was into science. I was like a weird kid,
Right.
and like was not popular. Even like after I got like I might still be in my awkward phase. I might have never left it. And she was like very popular and like a dancer, and was like, she was cool. Like she was a cool kid, and I was like a big ass nerd.
A nerd.
And 4 years younger than her, so like really cramping the style.
It's like, oh, that's my weird little sister.
I was her weird little sister.
I get that. I was a weird little sister too.
Yeah.
My older brother's 2 years older than me, and it was very much like, he wasn't like the most popular person, but I was definitely a little bit more like introverted and quote unquote weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, when was the concept of dieting first introduced to you? Was it at a young age? Was it?
Yeah, I think my mom was always on a diet.
Yeah.
Like she was never not on a diet, and I remember going to Weight Watchers meetings in 2nd grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I was I was a little kid. And I was also young in 2nd grade. I'm born in August, and then when you're born in August, you either start school early or start school late, and I started school very early. So I was like already young, and like and very young in these meetings, and like hearing
That's like 6 or 7
yeah,
years old.
I was like
yeah.
6 years
8
old.
maybe the oldest.
I was like 6.
Yeah.
I was 6 years old in Weight Watchers meetings, and I was like, well, I'm hearing like, like these women sitting in this group talking about how much they don't like their bodies.
Yeah.
And how much they're trying and weighing in, and like, trying to a room full of women trying to shrink, and then like one of them makes their goal, and they applaud the shrinkingness of the person, and me thinking, oh, I should be shrinking too. And I also remember thinking very early on that I remember realizing early on that I wasn't small.
Right.
Like when you're in that environment, Like, I don't think kids are thinking about their bodies in that way.
They're not supposed
They're
to.
not supposed to be.
Someone tells them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm in those environments, and I was like, oh. And then I go to school, and I'm like, I'm bigger than all of my friends. They're all smaller than me. I can't do certain things that I can't fit in certain things that they can fit in, I'm realizing. Like, there was this little cabinet in our art room, and all the like girls could like squeeze into the cabinet like they would hide in it.
Yeah.
I could never get in that thing.
Yeah.
Like a leg, maybe, but like not the whole me. You know,
I remember always being afraid, and this is how I know that like my dysmorphia was at a really young age too. Was like, I remember like in gym class, if they were gave you like pennies, I think they were called, just like a little thing that you would throw over your clothes to figure out what team you're on. I would always have this thought of like, well, what if I'm too big for it and I won't be able to get it on? Which is like, those things are big,
those
you know.
things are big, but you think
you think,
I have an embarrassing moment of like, yes, I'm absolutely much bigger than everyone around me. And there was I grew up, the playground that I grew up on was like a real awful playground. Like, there's no tire bits and soft things. It was like rocks and metal and wood. And like, there was the perimeter around our playground that protected us from, I guess, stranger danger. Was a bunch of like really big fucking like tractor tires. Like, that was the fence.
Yeah.
You could just walk up. Like, hey kid, come with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come get this candy. But there was this little tunnel made out of like logs. It was like, and it was cool looking. The whole playground was like wood and splinters constantly. But there was this like tunnel made out of like wood all the way around, little wooden slats. And a couple of the slats came up, and people would like shimmy between the slats,
right?
Because you could stand on top of it or go underneath it. And people would like shimmy through the slats, the crack in the slats. And all my friends shimmied through. I got stuck.
Yeah.
And I was stuck. And it was like the bell rang in school, like the recess was done, and I was still there.
No.
And a cafeteria lady had to help me.
Who?
Teachers, like the principal, teachers,
Yeah.
people came, but like I had to be helped out of the hole. Yeah.
And that's elementary school age.
It's in elementary school age, and like all of these kids are just watching this cafeteria woman. I'm pretty sure it put some sort of grease on me to help me shimmy out. Like, I needed to be coated. And I was like, wow, if I didn't know I wasn't small before, now this is confirmation.
Absolutely.
This is confirmation. And I think that's also around, like, you know, like a lot of I started realizing the things that people were saying were actually like kind of bullying, and like I was like, you don't realize these things until like you start realizing these things.
Yeah.
And you don't develop these sensitivities until someone gives you a reason to, or until life gives you a reason to. But yeah, I remember that was like my first introductory to like dieting. I was in Weight Watchers meetings in like second grade, and like, you know, every woman in my family, and I think about this a lot because all the women in my family were always on a diet, and none of them were ever actually like tiny. Like the thing they were trying to do,
they never did it.
Like, they just were constantly just doing the thing.
Yeah.
It was like, we're just always doing this thing. And then in some ways they would like lose 20, lose 40, gain 30, lose,
Absolutely.
you know, it's just like the constant. And like that's reflected in like my life for a long time was like I lost like 50, and then I would gain 30, and then I would lose 20, and then I would gain back the whole 20.
And then sometimes I'd gain back 30.
No, but yeah, gain back 30, and it's like this, and then you'd be devastated. At least I'd be devastated. And now I'm not at all. Like, I don't even look at the scale. I'm like, well, I feel good today, so this is fine.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Do the clothes fit? Okay. If they don't, I'll buy bigger ones.
It's like so much healthier to have that mindset than be obsessed with shrinking.
Oh yeah, I no longer. I'm still trying. This is one thing that I still have like a problem with, and it's I still have a couple of garments, like not nearly like I used to, that I'm like, I will not fit into this.
Right.
Maybe one day I will, but right now, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I used to tell myself maybe one day, and now I'm trying to tell myself, no, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But holding on to this thing will not make it happen. And in fact, it will only make me feel like a failure. And what is failure? Like, why is that a failure? It's not a failure. It's literally just that's not what you look like right now. That's not what you might look like. You might never look like that, and that's okay.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, no, absolutely. I very much relate to that. My closet used to just be filled with clothes that don't fit right now, but like I think I can get back into it. And I still have some garments like that, which I don't really know why I still have them, but not nearly to the level that I did.
Oh yeah, most of my closet was just shit that didn't fit.
Yeah,
for a long time.
absolutely.
And now it's like, no, it's stuff that like I actually now, because my weight fluctuates so much. I have things that are a little too big and a little too small, and throughout the year I'll fit in all of them.
Right,
And I'm like, oh,
right.
it's a this pants day. I guess I'm a little less bloated, or it's a this pants day. I'm a little more bloated. You know, and that's okay. Like
Maybe that's why I hate packing so much, because I never know what I'm gonna need for the next that week.
I just bring anything loose and some belts. I'm like, if I'm
Oh.
having on vacation, I'm gonna eat. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, I bring something flowy. If I want to belt it, I'll belt it. If I don't, then meh. You know,
Yeah.
loose fitting pants. I found a brand. Oh God, I'm gonna sound like a brand ambassador, and I'm not. I'm not sure if it's called Quince or Quince. But they've got like linen neutrals,
Ooh.
and when I travel on vacation, it's just elastic and light and wonderful.
Smart.
And it looks nice and like chic on you. It still looks stylish. I'm like, this is good. It's like it's just comfortable.
Yeah,
you
that sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out. What is it?
know? It's either Quince or Quince. I've never heard someone say the brand name out loud.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it's either Quince or Quince.
Noted. I'm gonna
And
look
I
tonight.
love them.
I'm gonna see if I can panic buy
They
some
have
stuff.
they have like everyday silk too. They have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like so reasonably priced. I love it.
Oh, I love
it.
discovering new things like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I was going to ask, like, where the people in your life that were dieting a lot, like, what did they look like? Were they tall, thin, like short, stout? And it sounds like they weren't at all really thin.
No, most of the people in my family are like on the. We're not very tall people. Like the men in my family are tall. My dad's not that tall. My dad's like, I don't know how tall an average height is. I'm not very tall, so everyone's taller than I am.
Right.
But like my dad is like, I think maybe 5'9". I'm not sure if that's very tall for a guy or not. And my sister was never really on a diet, but she was also like a dancer. Stacy was, I remember, this is the one thing I do remember, is being compared to my sister. And I think that's also part of what drove the need for me to shrink. Because like Stacy and I were in dance classes together. Her obviously coordinated. Me,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
Me, a disaster. Not made for this in any way. So imagine I would be comparing myself and being compared to this person who is 4 years older than you and in a body that's more accepted in that community at the time.
And is suited to do that.
To be doing that, and like also has better control of her body because she actually cares about dancing.
Right.
And I did not at all. Not even slightly. I could not be bothered to care because again, not competitive.
Right.
I didn't give a shit if I was the worst person in class. I was like, well, I learned it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
My feet moved and I learned it. So
I'm here.
Give me my medal. Give me my star.
Yeah.
Put me in the showcase in the back row. And I'll fill out some space. We're good.
I love it.
But yeah, she was. But like also, you know, that the comparison of like, you know, and then also like Stacy she's so beautiful, and she was taller, she was beautiful, she was lean, you know, she was like very much the dancer.
Yeah.
And I was very much like a squatty little shorter thing with real bad skin.
Oh, you poor thing.
With a real, it was great. But you know what's funny? I look back on photos. I remember feeling so fat and feeling like fat in like not the confident way.
Yeah.
Like fat in the way that it meant a long time ago.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
you know, and feeling like negative about my body and feeling like negative about how I looked. I looked at photos of myself like from back then. She was cute.
Yeah.
if I could build a time machine, I'd go back and hug that girl.
I know.
Like,
I
who
actively
the fuck
do
told
that.
You were fat. You were adorable.
Yeah. It makes me mad sometimes because now I have to sit in therapy as a 31-year-old and have my therapist mentally take me back to when I'm a cute little girl and give her a hug.
Yes, like I see not even like photos of me in like high school when I was like no one, like all my friends were like dating and guys were interested in them and like it was all that and like nobody. I may as well have been invisible.
Yeah.
Which was fine actually in a lot of ways because I got a lot of shit done and I made good grades.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Priorities.
Like my priorities, I had my priorities, but like I look back on that and was like, well, of course no one's asked me on dates. No one's gonna ask me to prom. Of course that I'm hideous. That's how I felt. I look back and I'm like, what? She was cute.
Yeah.
She was fucking cute. And guys didn't get it because they sucked.
Yeah.
Like,
I cannot relate to you more.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like exactly. But I also, for some reason, was also being told at home that I was fat.
Oh, no.
You know? So, but like, I guess, sure, I had weight I could have lost, but like, it just was excessive. And because I look at my body now and I'm like, this is a fat person, like not what she was.
That's how I feel often. I look back and I'm like, no, that's not fat. This is for my bone. This is for my body. Fat.
Right.
That I looked good.
I looked
like,
great.
That. Yeah.
And I think also because the BMI scale.
Oh, that shit is bonkers nuts.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's so factually inaccurate.
Yes.
And bad. And just because like I am I've always had my body has always been where like the scale always set a number much higher than how I actually looked.
Yep. Same.
Like I've always like when I was 150, I probably looked around 130.
Yep.
Like I always looked at least 25 pounds lighter than what the scale actually said. And that always really threw me because then I would go to the doctor and they would actively tell me like
that you're too big.
Yeah, that you're too big.
That was part of my thing for a long time. I weighed like exactly 170. 170. And I looked like I weighed about 150, 140.
Yep.
Which for me looked good. Like that was like I looked fine. I looked freaking fine. I look back at like I did that awful thing where for my wedding I lost weight. Not because like I was trying to. I was just so stressed.
Right.
But I ended up getting down to like that weight range again and I was like, oh yeah, I looked healthy. I didn't do it in a healthy way for my wedding. I was too stressed to eat. But I think back and I'm like, this was a good look for my body. Why did I think this was fat?
Why did I hate myself for
Yes.
looking like that?
Like, why did I think this was bad? Like, why did I let people? And also, why did I let doctors?
Why did I let people? That's what kills
Yeah.
me.
Like, I let someone tell me this was hideous. This is hot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So is that something that happens to you when you get stressed you can't eat?
Yeah, I get stressed when I get stressed, the last thing I want, I get nauseous.
Yeah.
Like my stomach gets nauseous. I don't want to I get like tummy rumblings, I get a little barfy, a little burpy.
Yeah.
Like, and nothing will sit well with me whenever I'm stressed. When we had that the gig at the winery, I barely ate anything. I was like cuz I was thinking like I don't know what this is going to be like.
So you were nervous.
I
so
was
you
too
couldn't.
nervous to eat, and I barely ate anything. But when I'm happy, I get snacky.
Yeah.
Happy, like which is partly like my family is that way. Like we most of the time, like we're very gentle people. We're very happy to see each other. So most of the memories are being made around a table. We're eating at grandma's house. We're eating after church. Which was, I hated church, but I liked the food after church. That part was nice.
Yeah.
Like we're eating after church, you know, we're eating to celebrate this thing, you know, so and so got a promotion. Let's go out to dinner, you know. It was so many good things were like bookmarked with like, you know, a beautiful meal. And, you know, my mom is an extraordinary cook. Oh, an extraordinary cook. The saddest thing though was watching my mom make Weight Watchers diet recipes because I was like, you're better than this.
You know what would happen to me? My grandma is such a good cook. She would make she would make a delicious meal, linguine and clam sauce. Like, oh, my favorite. She would set the table for everybody. We all have our plates. And she would make the lean cuisine version. She would heat up the lean cuisine version of the meal we were eating. And I looked at that like, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And now I look at it as an adult and I'm like, oh, that hurts my heart so much.
She made y'all the real thing, and then for herself would eat like the the diet approximation. That's awful.
Yeah. Awful.
Oh, what a torture for her too. Like she put so much love into it for y'all, and then couldn't give it to herself.
Yeah, and with her, and she's to this day it still affects her. She very much is. There hasn't a day, much like myself, for her, a day has not gone by where she hasn't thought about dieting or her body. And she was very big in high school. Yeah. And I say this often when I do interviews, and I just, have this sentiment that I learned from her that kids are cruel. And I have also experienced kids are cruel.
Yeah.
But with her, she wanted to protect me from being fat so bad. So even when I get angry about like, why couldn't I just have been good enough? I know that for my grandma specifically, it came from a place, or it comes from a place of she just wanted to protect me so badly because she knew firsthand how horrific people can be, like just how truly, truly mean. And she was terrified that it was going to happen to me. And so that's why, we would sit around and we would talk about dieting, and, she would always tell me, horror stories of when she was a kid, of what happened to her. And it's really, really sad. And she, as far as like her not being able to give the love to herself, like that's an approximation, that's a summation of her life, like always making sure everybody else is good, because otherwise she gets so much anxiety if other people aren't right and good, so that's why we would get a delicious meal and she wouldn't be able to give that to herself.
This stuff is passed on though. There's entire, not just your grandma, I think there's an entire generation of women who are like this, and who are to some degree have like some variation of this, like there just is, the sacrificing, the giving your all to the others, and then giving yourself the none, and that's the expectation, and that's how we're supposed to be moving throughout the world. We're supposed to be caring for everyone around us, but fuck us. But like we're supposed to be the afterthought. And I think there's, not for nothing, even like with this podcast, you are contributing to this newer generation of people that's like, I see that, I recognize that, not for me.
Yeah.
None of that for me.
Yeah, I see that throughout my whole life of how none of that is for me, because I see that with my mom, how she worked so hard, like so many jobs, just, to like keep the whole thing going, and how... Like, I remember my mom at one point in my life literally worked 7 days a week. Like, she always looked at like her jobs that she would have on the weekend, and she'd be like, all right, I gotta go. We would call it to Woodbridge, 'cause that's where it was. Like, oh, I gotta go to Woodbridge, 'cause that's where the job was. And I'd be like, again, you got to go out again. She's like, yeah, but it's easy. It's super, super easy. It pays really well. I'm going to sit there and, I'm going to work on my paper, because she was also in school. Or like, oh, I'm going to read a book.
A beast.
Whatever. What? Literally. Just like a behemoth of just like tearing through this shit, making sure the bills are paid. And I think back on how much my mom worked, and I'm like exhausted thinking about that. Yeah. And that's where I really have empathy for the adults in my life, because I can also look at that time and be like, oh, well, because my mom was working all the time, I had to keep, I was like feeding my brothers and my dad or whatever. Like, I was the one that was handling that. But I couldn't imagine being like in a position where my mom was, to like just be like, oh, to make ends meet, I'm just going to have all these jobs. Because now I'm like, I have my day job for myself, to pay for my apartment. I have some side gigs where I walk dogs, and that's kind of like my beer money. Like, you know, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
And I like chilling.
I like chilling. I think the people younger than me call it a soft life.
Oh yeah,
something
I've been
like
seeing
that.
this. I've been seeing
Yeah.
this soft life.
The soft life that I feel so old that the Gen Zs on the TikTok we'll call it the soft life. And you know what? Thank you. Yes, please to that actually.
Yeah.
Like that's what an ideal way to be living, you know? I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful that we're wanting to slow down. We've seen the grind in our parents, and I admire it. I know that even like my dad worked so much. He was always going. My mom worked too, but my mom worked for the government, for the Arkansas state government, and my dad, he was an engineer at Bell and or AT&T, Southwestern Bell, the whole. They all become all these different names of these companies. They all like get bought
and become one big thing.
Yeah.
Monopolies and shit.
Yeah, yeah, monopolies and shit. In fact, my dad was an engineer. Hi, sorry, that dog is so cute. But he makes the cutest noises. But they were always working, and like I had when I first got to New York, I was also like I had so many. I was a temp. And I worked through an agency, so I was always at a new job, always going. Plus, I was bartending. I was doing so many things, and then I just can't.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I had to. I was like, you know what? I'm repeating the patterns that my parents that my parents had to do. That my dad and my mom, you know, they worked so hard. I'm repeating this thing, and do I actually have to do this anymore? And you know what? I think they worked hard so I wouldn't have to do this.
Right.
Like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. This must make them so sad to know that I'm just picking it up where they left off.
Right.
I didn't want that at all. They wanted, you know, they didn't want me to pick it up at all. They wanted they wanted to lay the foundation so I could run.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's
that's so beautiful.
That's what they wanted. And that's why I'm realizing that now. So that's what I'm trying to do more of, and do more things for me. I also think back about my mom. My dad is also like, he's also a musician, and he's like, and I remember them always having to try to find time for their passions. Like, my dad's a fantastic bass player.
Wow.
Oh my God, he's so talented. My dad is such a good bass player. My mom is an incredible singer, and she paints. She's like a Jill of all trades. Like, she just can do, if it's handy, crafty, anything, she can figure out how to do it. I get I'm not gonna buy that, I'll just make it mentality from my mom.
Her.
And I learned these skills from her. I remember her working this 9-to-5 job and putting in all this effort, and then coming home and being like, I want to start a catering business with my sister. We're gonna cater weddings. We're gonna make cakes. And they learned how to make like elegant, crazy, fondant, tall ass wedding cakes. And they were like killing this shit on the weekend. And I'm like, this is the thing that you wanted to do. And like, I want to live my life where I can just do the thing I want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to do that. Like,
absolutely.
You know, I remember, God, my parents.
So you got your musical ability from both of your parents. Your mom's a singer, your dad's a bass player. How many instruments do you play?
I play a bunch of stuff. I come from like a musical family in general, but I play guitar, I play cello, I play saxophone, I play a bit of French horn. I can play a little piano.
Wow.
Not as good as my husband. My husband's a way better pianist than I am. I can play like well enough to like if I have like an audition, I need to figure out what's this supposed to be sounding like.
Right.
And like I can do that. But my main instruments are guitar and cello.
Nice. And a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Really good voice.
Thank you very much. I feel like I just scream when I'm singing comedy. Like I'm not really singing, I'm just yelling.
But it's great. It helps with the delivery. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, is the comedy that you do all musical comedy? Do you also just do straight up stand up?
I do straight up stand up, and I do a lot of storytelling. I've gotten really into that.
That's awesome.
And I think because my stand up was honestly even my music is a bit storytelling too. There's like my songs tell a story.
Yeah.
So I've gotten really into like that. I think I'm finding my lane in the world of storytelling more so recently. And my stand up was always a bit like funny stories and observations along the way.
Yeah.
So I'm finding my spot.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing comedy?
Oh, geez. I started whenever I started with my friend Jason back in Fayetteville. We were in this children's show called Digging Up Arkansas, and he played guitar, and so did I, and we played guitar on the show. We were always noodling around backstage, and we started like coming up with ridiculous songs together that were not appropriate for children. But you have to keep your, like, if you're like in a kid's show, you have to keep your brain doing something, or else you'll just forever be playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Right.
So we'd come up with these ridiculous songs and we would sing them together, and then we had like a little comedy duo called Black and Tan because of the names of our guitars. His guitar was black and mine is tan. And that was a lot of fun. And then I moved. He's still in Fayetteville. He's thriving. I think he actually might live in Rogers now, or Bentonville. He's in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah,
crushing it. He's doing a great job.
Get a little band name and everything.
Yeah, and then I moved here and took some of the songs with me, the ones I'd mostly written and things like that, and started trying to perform some of those, do some stand up here. That was like in 2011. Did I say 11 earlier? I think it's 2011. That was then, and then I stopped. I took a bit of a break. My darling got sick, and I took a bit of a break, and then I focused on like paying bills. I got I got a job that took up time.
Yeah.
And I had no brain space for anything besides like coming home, caring for my person, and then like doing the work. And then, Scott got better, everything got better, but getting back into comedy was super hard. And I think I've been back in that world now. I'm now back in the world for like a little over, I think I've been back at it for a little over now 3 years.
Awesome.
That seems right about it. But I'm still, it's completely different. Like whenever it's completely different.
Yeah.
For me, I'm figuring it out, which I think it's a good thing that I think it's good that I took a break, even though it was long as hell. Because now I'm back in it with new eyes, and I'm older now, and I'm not so rattled, like at all. I'm not rattled by like some guy dick comedian being rude on the mic before me, and then me having to go and be like, oh, how do I fix this? I don't think that at all anymore. I'm like, this is not my problem to fix. I know this is gonna be fun. Like I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna make the audience feel better because that was shit.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to use that as a mantra. This is not my problem to fix. I literally was so rattled on stage on Saturday. I did a gig out in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And I'm always wary of doing jokes about growing up Catholic and touching anything about abortion when I'm outside of the tri-state area.
That's a fair fear. Yeah.
Sometimes it's great. Other times people scowl at me, and it's just whatever. This one lady, oh my God, I have this abortion joke, and she didn't like it. And I in the joke, I talk about how I grew up in a really conservative family. So for growing up, I was staunchly pro-life. Yeah. Like I just was completely pro-life. And then I got older, and now I'm no longer pro-life. And she yelled out something like, what's wrong with pro-life or something? And I ignored it, like whatever. And then I go and I do the rest of the joke. And the person she was with just look at each other, and they get up and leave. They like storm out.
Good, leave.
Yeah. And I guess I hadn't had that happen in the environment I was in. It also was like 5 minutes into me doing like 30 minutes. And so I was like, I am stuck up here. And she just did that. And I was just like, I'm sorry, whatever, like I'll move away from the abortion stuff, like I'll, whatever. And I was able to recover a little bit, but I cared so much in that moment that I wanted to fix it.
Fix it. You're an empathetic person.
Yeah.
I wasn't even talking this thing.
And when she left, because Joe was with me and our other friend, and they told me after, they're like, when she left, they were like, she's a baby murderer. And I almost see, that's something where like I wish that they said it louder, because then I would have been able to retort back. Whereas like when they just leave and they don't say anything,
Yeah.
like at least if they yelled that out, I would have like, I totally would have said something like, I never had an abortion. Like I want to go to heaven. Like I would probably say something.
I want to go to heaven. I
Yeah.
would have laughed my ass off.
Right.
At that.
Like I just was so rattled. I was like in the back of my mind trying to like get through, you know, like take everyone's eyes away from the fact that this lady just left, and like, you know, hey, look over here. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, she's so mad at me. Like, why do I care that she's
no.
mad at me?
I think I used to get rattled until I got properly heckled. And I think it's because, and I have the added benefit of like music. Like,
Yeah.
I have a guitar in front of me, and like there's very, very little. I think it's like this instant barrier. And it's also, for lack of, like, it's also a kind of a weird form of crowd control. Like, there's a reason that little kids respond to, like, someone playing guitar for
Right.
them. And that part of your brain is still there. So it
Yeah.
happens when you're in a crowd, when you're a comedian, too, sometimes. Like, I got properly heckled. And, like, I have the same instinct of, like, I should fix this. I used to be like, oh, no, they're mad at me. What? I have offended someone. And, like, that used to be, and that often, I still am that way, like, in life. I don't want to
Right.
offend people. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to cause harm.
Yeah.
And for the most part, my comedy is pretty joyful. So if it does
Yeah.
cause harm, then I'm like, what did I do? Like, how did I do this? You know? But I was properly heckled. And I just called it out. I was like, this guy needs attention. This guy needs a
Ooh.
song. This guy needs a song.
Yeah. And you just recovered.
Like, I was like, you know, like I called it out, and I made up literally. I was like, this guy truly does need to be seen. I made up a song about his daddy issues.
Oh my gosh.
Because he wasn't visible. Someone ignored him for too long.
You're a good comic.
But like also like if you really want to be in this thing, if you really need to be in this thing, cool, I'll put you in it.
Right.
You know, if that's what you're looking for right now, sir. But like I think that moment alone, I was like, this is also not an invitation. This is gonna be a podcast. Don't like come to my show just to heckle me. I'm not gonna just write you a song. Like I'm not just gonna like this guy. No, I'm not just gonna make up a song.
Songwriting on the spot.
No, that just happened because I was like, well,
yeah,
my show is tanked now.
Yeah,
and I can't unhear this. No one can unsee this. So
yeah,
this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah, I saw. Is he looking for something fun in the litter box?
He's not gonna find anything because
Tootsie
I scooped it before you got here. So
fine.
You little freak.
He's like, is there a turd in there?
I wish the camera could see his face right now. Like he looks like I wasn't doing anything.
I was just looking for. I was looking for secret candy. For forbidden chocolate.
Halloween's next week, Finn.
He wants that forbidden cocoa.
No, he's got his girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
That little flat pillow pet is his girlfriend.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's had that for probably the entirety that I've had him. He's had that pillow pet.
That's his girlfriend.
That's his girlfriend.
That's his that's a relationship.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I've never been in a relationship that long.
Is it like a blankie for him?
Remember pillow pets?
Yeah.
It's just a pillow pet, and he's took all the stuffing out of it. It's a little unicorn pillow pet.
I love that for you. I love that for you, Fanny.
I remember one time my roommate at the time, she was just like, she like held it up and it was all like gross. And she's like, Cal, I feel like it's time. I'm like, you can't get rid of that. Like I've gotten rid of other shitty toys of his, but that one, I don't even like to like, if I travel with him, I keep it here because I don't want to forget it anywhere. Like that's his thing.
He won't be settled without it. I'm sure.
No, he loves it.
Aww.
Look at him. It's like he's literally sucking on it.
I love that. He has a blank. It's like a binky.
Yeah.
Oh, it's his baby.
He's good at self-soothing.
I love that. I'm turning my weed
That thing is so
vibrator.
cool. Weed
My
vibrator.
weed vibrator.
I think that's a hole in the market that
That's
can
a
be
market
filled.
for sure. A hole. Oh, the layers. A hole to be filled in the market with weed vibrators. Now that it's legal in the city, what
Yes.
think of next?
When did you get into smoking?
I got into cannabis on the more recent side. I'm epileptic, and
Ooh.
yeah.
I don't know if I know anybody epileptic.
Now you do.
Now I do.
Yeah, we be twitching. I'm epileptic, and for me, it was one of the things that helped make my seizures like pretty much manageable.
Wow.
It's wild. I was on this crazy, terrible medicine called Lamictal, which is also for people with bipolar. But if you have bipolar and you're on Lamictal, awesome. It wasn't made for epileptics. It just happens to treat epilepsy. It's like, you know, it's so.
It's like Ozempic being for weight, like treating
but it's
obesity,
for diabetics.
but it's for diabetics.
It's for diabetics. My mom's on Ozempic right now because she is diabetic. That's a whole other thing. Almost all the people in my family are diabetic, and except for me.
Except for you. What about your sister?
My sister's not diabetic either.
Wow.
She was, I think, for a time she was previously pre-diabetic, but I think she's like, she like lost weight and got like that stuff under control.
Wow.
What was driving it, but yeah. She started like doing the Peloton, and like she's in a better place with it. But I'm like one of the only people in my family that isn't diabetic. Almost everybody is on both sides. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
I think it's because I eat vegetables.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm a vegan, not in like the eating disorder way, and the like I still eat. I eat, but I just don't eat meat. I just don't eat certain.
You don't eat animal products.
I don't eat animal products, but like.
No, Joe had to lower his cholesterol, and the doctor was like, "I'm gonna put you on a statin because like we need to lower it, but if you don't want to be on a statin for the rest of your life, I just recommend going vegan." And he was like, "Okay." So he didn't do full vegan; he did vegetarian, and it only is up until recently, very very recently, that he sometimes like takes the foot off the gas a little bit and like will like have like a chicken halal, you know,
or like a bacon.
Yeah,
I'm sure most.
Yeah,
people's
he
thing
actually
is
hasn't
bacon.
had any red meat, which is crazy. He's only even dabbled into chicken. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's helped so much. He's no longer on the statin.
I
Like
love
in
that.
just like in a quarter of not doing it, it got him off.
Statins are wild. The things they can do to your body. My mom was on a statin she was on a statin and it like messed with. I'm trying to remember exactly what it's called, but it begins with a T. The muscles in her body started to deteriorate. My mom sent me the word for it, but it's really sad. I'm just looking.
Is she not very mobile?
She is now. So she is now, but she had to like work her way all the way up to it all over again. It was actually kind of heartbreaking because she was so active. I'm not all the photos, Mom. She sent me so many photos. I'm trying to find this thing. Maybe it was to Mom and Stacy. But I'm looking this up. This is the most riveting part of the podcast.
Yes.
I'm looking up a thing for. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. But she sent me the word for it. But it's basically like the muscles in her body like deteriorated, and it was just so freaking devastating.
Yeah.
And she couldn't dance, and she like leads line dancing classes.
Oh my gosh.
And like her and her sister Gail, the same one that she started the catering business with, they're always up to some shit. They're always, those two peas in a pod, always just off messing around, having a good old mess around together, coming up with some scheme to do something silly. And right now their thing is line dancing.
So cute.
And it's adorable. They teach line dancing classes, but for a time she couldn't dance because she like could barely walk, and she had to like relearn how to walk. And I taught her how to like do wall sits and stuff like that, which is like to help like build up her her legs again, her glutes, and she like little bitty exercises that wouldn't put too much like pressure on her, but would use like the weight that she already has on her body. Like carrying your own weight essentially. Yeah. And she's been doing that. She's also been mostly eating plant-based so she can get off of some of the things that had her on those medicines, and like, you know, and she's doing great. Like her levels, like I call her every couple of days. I'm like, "Hey Mom, how are your levels doing?" And she's like, "They're doing great." I'm like, "Great, are you eating?" And she's like, "Yes, I am." And I'm like, "Amazing." And I'm teaching her like, you know, vegan recipes that like don't suck, that aren't just like fake meat and that don't like suck, because like she wants to eat, you know, she wants to like chow the fuck down. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well this is a shit ton of vegetables for you to chow the fuck down on. Yeah. You know, and the effects will be like, and like the next day she like check her levels and they're freaking great. And I'm like, that's what your body wanted apparently.
When it comes to eating a lot of vegetables, the results in the bathroom alone make it worth it.
Just it speaks volumes in the bathroom. bathroom. Literally, it's so
Like,
yeah.
why do I feel healthy
Yeah.
after that?
My parents stayed with us when we moved to our house. My parents stayed with us for like a little over a month, so I was cooking a lot for them. And when they went back home to Arkansas, their doctors were like, "Your levels look great. You've both lost weight. What have you been doing?" And my mom was like, "Just eating my daughter's cooking."
Yeah.
Like it's a dramatic. It's like she'll lose. My mom will sometimes she's like, "I want to come stay with you so that you can just cook for me," and I'm like.
She's
Okay.
treating your house as like a wellness
Like
retreat.
a wellness retreat. It's a little bit of like she's like, just stay here and like you can make me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm like, I have a job. And she's like, yeah, but
it's from home.
But home, you can make some food, right? And make me a nice little dish. And I do. I make her beautiful meals. I love cooking for my mom, and I love cooking vegan food. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Especially like figuring out how to get full. That was hard for me. Because it was hard for me for a time. I bounced around. We were talking about epilepsy and weed.
Yes.
When I started smoking weed, I got into it to help manage my seizures. And I got into like that and CBD, and it helped me get off of Lamictal because Lamictal was terrible. Like my seizures were gone. But like at what cost? Like I was like not like someone turned the lights off. Like I was just anything that makes me a person. Like was just gone. I was a body.
Yeah.
Like, I was a body.
You were a vessel that was
yeah.
here.
I could process information, and I was a body. I wasn't living. I was so not well, and I felt like I was also like not driving the vehicle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I remember like I blew up a whole on Lamictal. I blew up a relationship and I barely remember it.
Yeah.
Because I was just like so in my own, like I couldn't think. I remember thinking like, why am I saying this to him? Well, I've said it now. Well, I can't take that back. Well, I guess this is done.
Yeah. like
and, like
dissociative,
and
really.
I couldn't connect. And like they like one of the side effects is like changes in mood. It was like a change in my whole damn personality. Like I was not me.
Wow.
Not at all. So, with cannabis, I was able to, like, I have the medical cannabis card, and I was able to find something that like worked for me specifically. And it's like also like the joy of like medical cannabis, especially like in New York City, is that it's so dialed in.
Yeah.
Like, there are strains for epilepsy. There are strains for so many things. They're like with these things in mind that will not let you get too high, or they won't let you get too whatever. You can still function. And that was a bit of a game changer for me.
Wow.
To like not need this chemical medicine, to have this natural medicine instead that also managed to accomplish the same goal. And also like not for nothing, also like changing like some eating habits, because
I was gonna ask.
they recommend ketosis for epileptics when you're an epileptic
interesting.
child. I was keto before it was cool.
Yeah.
And I was still chunky. But I was still chunky. So like keto as a kid, but still real round.
Were you doing it in a way where you weren't shitting yourself? Because I have so many friends, myself included, who like were like, oh, we're gonna do keto, and then like I have cheese and bacon in my fridge, and all of a sudden, like for some reason, because I didn't do it right, I like shat myself.
Just shitting yourself
Yeah.
constantly. I mean, I had a lot of tummy troubles as a kid. So
Okay.
that's probably why.
Yeah.
I had a lot of tummy troubles as a kid. But I feel like keto is different now than it was back then. Like there's so many like there used to not be all these books, and it wasn't like a craze. It was like keto was like a thing to help kids not have seizures. Like truly.
Wow, I did not know that.
Like,
that is so interesting.
It was like that's at least whenever I'm sure it had other uses too, but like whenever I was younger, they were like ketosis. You want to reach this, so that your brain can't blah blah blah. Then you won't short circuit and embarrass
That's
yourself.
so
in
interesting.
class.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was like, but like it was before it was cool, and it was really freaking hard to do. Now there's all these resources, and there's all those like these like little keto bars and keto snacks, which I don't think people should probably buy. It seems like a really processed thing.
Yeah, it's not natural.
Which seems to defeat the purpose to me, but whatever. Like,
right.
Also, I'm not going to tell you what to put in your body. Put it in your body if you like a keto snack. But, like, it just seems like it's going to not help.
Did you see that Netflix documentary? They ended up taking it off of Netflix. I think this was like 2016. I think it was called The Magic Pill.
Yeah.
And it was a documentary about ketosis. And there were like all these stories about, there was this one story in the documentary that was about this like kid that had really bad autism. And it wasn't just like, it was autism, ADHD. And so like, you know, the parents were having a really hard time with their kid, and then they tried the keto diet, and the kid was like processing information better and being more communicative and like all this great stuff from ketosis, which the documentary ended up being like a few articles written about it after the fact that like a lot of the claims in the documentary were like unfounded, and it eventually it ended up being categorized as like misinformation. It was more than just like a biased documentary, and more I'm like, oh, this factually is incorrect.
Yeah.
So I always look at the keto diet as it works for some people,
But not for all.
but not for all people. It really can backfire on people that it doesn't work for.
Yeah.
But I'm so interested. That's so interesting about the epilepsy portion of that, or the facet of that, because I was going to ask if diet ever played a part in that. And it very much did.
Yeah, it very much did.
Wow.
It very much did. And that's, you know, my parents have always, like, my mom will always try to make something happen for me. Like, even no matter what whim I had, like, I stopped eating, which was hard for keto, because I was like, I stopped wanting to eat meat pretty early on. And, you know, keto's, that's a ton of meat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that. And she was like, what do I do now?
Yeah, broccoli, I guess.
She was like, well, okay. And like wanting to figure that out. And she was like, I wanted to eat like less certain kinds of meat. And like eventually I was like, okay, well, I can eat this. I would eat certain things. I was younger. But like when I was in college, I was like, nope, done with meat, done properly. And then I was like, oh no, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And also like in Arkansas, like what am I gonna eat?
I was gonna say, with your even going back to your mom, like like her eating healthier now, like that's hard in Arkansas.
It's hard in Arkansas. It's much easier now. I stopped doing keto in college and started like just being like regular vegetarian, and then I was like a vegan, and still am a vegan. But what's it called? It was harder then. It's much easier now because Whole Foods exists.
Yes.
And you know, and you can order on the Amazon Fresh, and
Yeah.
you can do, and you know, everyone's got a co-op now. There's like, you know, there's all these things. There's, you know, even the Walmart and the Kroger has like, I keep saying like I'm freaking 50 years old. The Kroger, the TikTok, but what's it called? Even these stores, they have like vegan sections now and vegetarian sections, and so like it's not hard. It's not as hard. Also, like the whole grocery section is technically a vegan section. Like look at all this.
Yeah.
Look at all these groceries.
Fruits and vegetables.
Oh, yeah, look at all these. You know. So like it's easier now than it used to be. I remember though in Arkansas when I was first figuring out veganism, I was like, oh, what do I eat? A bag of vegan cheese? That sounds right. This awful vegan called Daya. It was disgusting.
You're scarred.
It was so bad. And I saw Daya recently, like a little like they have like different kinds of it now. And I saw it in the grocery store and it was like new taste, and I was like, I don't believe you at all.
Yeah.
Like,
You're not fool me once.
Fool me, exactly. I was like, new taste. I was like, so you acknowledge that it was disgusting. Perfect. So you know that you fucked up previously.
Yeah. It's like McDonald's when they would advertise chicken nuggets as now having real white meat. It's like, well, what was it before?
Chicken paste?
Yeah.
Paste? What was that? Pink slime.
Delicious.
Yeah, delicious pink
So
slime.
good.
Dipped in honey and sweet and sour sauce.
Yeah.
Dipped in sweet and sour sauce.
Yeah.
Quite tasty.
Delicious pink slime dipped in honey. Wow.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Damn, those were the days. So, okay, that's interesting. So do you feel like you had any history of eating disorders? Because it sounded like your diet was introduced at a young age, but the ketosis because of the epilepsy.
I think I did. I think it did. I remember being very aware of the things I put in my mouth from a very early age, and it's still not making a difference. that was the thing too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very aware. I'm doing all these things like right. I'm doing the Weight Watchers. And that would make a difference occasionally, because Weight Watchers, for better or worse, that shit works.
That works.
Like, if you do it, if that little stupid slider, you do it, the shit works.
You might be hungry as hell though.
You can be hungry as hell. I remember there was the restaurant book for Weight Watchers, and it had Schlotsky's Deli in it, and there was one of their original sandwiches was like all the points I was allotted
for the
in a day. I basically, if I were to eat this, I could only eat again halfway into the next day if I were to eat that sandwich.
Yeah.
And I was like, worth it. Which is like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, one sandwich means I can't eat for like until basically like noon tomorrow.
Yeah, you have to fast for a day essentially. Yeah.
That's like, if I eat this at lunch, I can't eat until the same time tomorrow. That's not good. No one should be living that way.
Yeah.
No one should be living that way. But I was very much aware of the things I put in my mouth and the things I was eating and the effects they would or wouldn't have on my body. And like I learned very quickly that if I wanted to just, especially like in like this, it got really bad. I think it got really, really bad in college. I was in a theater program, and when they start casting you, and when you start getting cast in things, you start getting like typecast. You start getting like, and you're young, and there's only, there's certain types, and I remember being given the feedback I either needed to lose weight or gain weight.
So,
but there wasn't a part, but at the weight I was, there wasn't really anything for me. I wasn't a type.
Right.
And I was like, what do you mean I'm a person?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a human, and humans are in the plays. The play is about humans, so I actually am a type, but the type is human.
Right.
Turns out. But I remember being given that information, given that feedback, and it's like really being like, so I should either gain weight or lose weight. Well, if I gain weight, they're gonna keep casting me in this awful shit. I'm never gonna play a lead role. I was gonna, so like I need to get skinny, and not even like fit, not even in shape. I need to get skinny.
Right.
And I was I may have been the biggest. For a time, I may have been one of the biggest people in my theater program. That was, one of the biggest female-bodied people in my program, and I remember being obviously compared to smaller actors and like going up against them for roles, and like I was auditioning for a musical, and in every way and this is like not me even tooting my own horn, like I was absolutely told this.
Yeah.
Like that I was the obvious better singer, and I was the better actor, and I just didn't look as good next to the guy they wanted to cast.
Right.
Because I was bigger. And so they cast someone, and that show was bad. It was bad because the girl they cast, and she like literally acknowledged in the dressing room, she said, "I wish I sang like you."
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
But like this is opening night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I was in the chorus. They needed a voice. They needed voices in the chorus. I was in the chorus. Like I was there, and the chorus is the regular people,
right,
who can be any size.
Right.
So I was like,
yeah,
of course I'm in this thing. And she's like, "I wish I sang like you." And I was like, I don't know how to respond to that, because I know that you got that
because of the way you
of the way that you look. And I was like, well, I think your voice is unique, and I think that that you were picked for a reason.
You're very kind.
I just didn't know what to say.
Right, you're very kind.
But I was like, I
because even though it's like that hurts what she said to you. That really hurts.
It did.
Do you feel? Because I worry about the typecast.
Yeah.
And that's why I love stand-up, is because from like a career perspective, it's like, well, if I'm good at this, if I'm good at telling jokes, and I'm good at being a performer, I don't have to worry about the typecast, but I know it's going to come up.
It's going to, yeah.
Because it's inevitable. I'm just wondering, like, are things changing for the better where where like we'll have more opportunities afforded to us based on talent that, our looks are removed from?
I hope so. I'm starting to fall into this world where I'm like, if I want to see the change, I think I have to be the change. I think I have to just make the shit. Like, I think I just have to. I think I just have to show you. I think I just have to show you that I deserve to be cast as a leading lady. I deserve to be the size I am and to fucking fall in love on screen. I deserve to be lusted after and wanted in this context. I deserve to be talked about as though I'm a beautiful person in the script, and then for you to see me and go, "Yep,
Yeah.
I deserve that." And if you don't, I deserve that. I deserve for some, like, and I think about that a lot. I think about character descriptions. There was I was in a new reading whenever I was in college, and like this is also one of the times where I was like, this is how people see me. And it was my character was described as a substantial woman,
Right.
and I was like, huh,
Okay.
okay. And she was like, she takes up space, and I was like, physically, not like mentally,
Right.
Not like she's like I was a
Like
substantial woman.
CEO of a company, substantial.
Not substantial like that. Not like status substantial.
Yeah.
Like just size. And I was
Right.
like, cool. And I kept seeing like more and more times like there would be breakdowns like or I'd like get like I'd be like there were an audition would be coming and like the breakdown would be like a jolly woman.
Right.
And I was like, jolly is that's some stupid code.
It needs to come with a glossary.
Yeah.
Like jolly equals fat.
Substantial.
Substantial.
Imposing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I was like, interesting. I'm seen as all of these things. I feel like none of those things. I feel invisible. Like I feel like no one sees me at all. But apparently I'm jolly and imposing and substantial. I'm a woman of substance. And thinking like, oh, that's how I'm seen. It made me very much aware of the space I take up. And now, and I used to have a lot of shame around that. And now I think I'm trying to tell myself I take up the amount of space that I deserve. And I deserve to be seen in those spaces.
Wow. Oh, that's so healthy. You're so healthy.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Therapy is working. Therapy is therapying for me.
I hear that.
It's been years, and also not for nothing. I think I'm liking myself more now. And I hate to put it in like the context of like love, but like I have this person in my life who has seen me in so many different sizes. Like when I first got to New York, I was real thin. I was like, I had, again, the college, like I wasn't eating. And then I, graduated and I waited a couple years and like was doing my thing in Arkansas. Then I moved here, but I was still really freaking thin. And I was like, oh shit, vegan options are everywhere. I'ma eat.
Yeah.
And I did eat. And Scott was like, let me take you to all the vegan places that you've never heard of before. And then like, also like during the pandemic, like it's like I gained weight then I lost weight, we got married, and then the pandemic happened and Scott learned how to bake, and I was like, fuck, I'm done.
You're done.
He started that sourdough.
Yeah.
It's still going. Still going. That boy bakes. He bakes cookies, cakes, pies. I eat them. They're all vegan. I eat the shit out of them. I love him for it.
Vegan snacks are so good. The baked vegan goods.
Oh, he crushes it. He's so good. He's so good. I brought cookies of his to the office one time. Everyone was like, what recipe is this? And I was like, it's not a recipe. He just fucked around and did this.
Wow.
Like, he's just good.
He's so talented.
So talented. He's amazing. And I eat all of it. And I happily will forever, for as long as he'll bake it for me, I'll eat it. But like even that, like seeing that, like seeing the way that he sees me, like is a very, and I hate that it took that because I think I needed someone to tell me whenever I was a kid and like a little kid in those Weight Watchers meetings, I needed someone to look at me and go, yeah, but you're enough still.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, but even so, you're fine. Like with you as you are, this is good too. If you want smaller, sure. If you want bigger, okay. Like, but the whole of you is good enough. And I needed that. And I don't think I felt like the whole of me was good enough. Even though I had the loving parents who never made me feel ugly. They never made me, my mom and dad never made me feel weird. They never made me feel anything but loved. But I think that felt like, of course you love me. It's mandatory.
Right. Yeah. You don't have an option.
Like, you birthed me. I came from you.
Yeah.
I look like you. Of course you love me. You know? But this, you know, for no reason he loves me.
Right.
He has, for no reason other than he just does. And I didn't have to earn it. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be some special thing.
You just had to be you.
I had to be me and show up. And I showed up like weird and wrong. And he was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Into it, the whole thing. And it's been the whole thing from varying sizes of like small to big to small to this, which is pretty stable for me. And the whole, he wants the whole thing. The whole, like, he wants, like, we have this thing where he says, all of it, always, every time. And that's like the whole, I just like the body, the mind, the whole thing, just whatever you got, I'm in for it.
Wow.
And that's made me feel, that has made me feel so cherished and so deeply loved and appreciated. And I don't think I had felt that way my whole life.
It's really amazing that you were able to accept that love, because sometimes I feel like what I see people that can be very self-sabotagey, they're confronted with that and they can't accept it.
I could not accept it for a while. It was for a bit. He had to work on me.
Yeah.
As in, like,
put the mic up to your mouth.
Sorry. He had to. Oh yeah, I'm terrible. He had to like work on me for a time. Now I'm gonna be loud as hell. But he had to work on me for a time. By work on me, I mean like he was like, I still sometimes will have like a negative thought, and I'll mumble to myself, and he'll hear it across the room. He's like, no.
Oh my gosh,
no,
I love that. I love that he's saying no.
I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that. He goes, you might think that, but it's not helping. No.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
And it's incredible. He's so freaking incredible. And this is now probably a show about how much I love my person, but I love the shit out of my person.
And like just like the fact that you're able to be there for each other is so amazing. Like he had you when he was sick, and you had him when he was showing you how to be loved. Like that's so beautiful. And you know, who says we can't have a little help in learning to love ourselves? That's beautiful.
I need
He's there.
it.
That he's in your life for a reason.
I think so. Like
He's your lamectal.
He's my lamectal. He's just balancing out my brain chemistry.
Yeah.
Just making it all, you know, making the twitchy go away. Truly, making the twitchy stop him. That's what he is. But he's an incredible human, and I feel very loved and cherished. And I think seeing how much he loved and cherished me made me realize, oh, maybe I'm worthy of that.
Yeah.
And maybe I ought to start. He's putting so much shine on me.
Mm-hmm.
I should start accepting that if I should be standing in this glow. I guess if he's going to give me this glow, I may as well stand in it and at least figure out how that feels. And it feels fucking great, you know. It
Beautiful.
feels fucking great to be loved.
It feels it's from what we've discussed, everything that we've discussed. You know, the therapy is therapying because you were able to, now you look at your life, and just the way we were talking about clothes, like being in an outfit and being like, oh, okay, this is a little loose, this is a little tight, whatever my body is, the way my body is. Yeah. And I am using food. I like want to chow down when I want to chow down, and I'm eating food that's healthy. Do you ever stray? Do you ever eat like something like, you're not going to break vegan?
I'm not going to break veganism. I can't. At this point, it's been years. It's been at least, I've been vegan for over 15 years. I feel like if I were to eat something non-vegan, I would be in the bathroom for a long.
Yeah, that's like putting oil in the gas tank. You can't do that.
Like, I don't know if you'd see me again.
Yeah, you'll break down.
I might just die in the bathroom, like Elvis on the toilet. I might just like die. But if I do like stray, I stray in a weird like I'll make like a vegan Philly cheesesteak.
Oh hell yeah!
Like I'll make I'll go like nuts. Like I'll like Scott, make a baguette. It's cheesesteak time.
That's beautiful.
And like I'll make my own cheese sauce. It's actually quite involved and pretty healthy. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this is not like the base is like I'll make like a mushroom situation for the base, like for like the meaty part of it. Peppers, onions, sauteed. I'll make my own cheese sauce out of like usually like a potato, a couple of carrots, some nutritional yeast, miso, for like a little bit of like an umami situation. I'm going to give you. Do you cook? You cook.
Yeah,
right?
I love cooking.
I'm going to give you this vegan cheese sauce recipe. It's wonderful. Cashews. Are you nut? Are you a nut person?
No, yeah, I like nuts.
Okay, so cashews are in it too, but it's a wonderful like it tastes kind of like Cheese Whiz almost, but like and I'll make like a vegan Philly cheesesteak, and it's decadent, and it's a mushroom cheesesteak, and it's wonderful. So like I'll stray in that way where it's like, or I'll make like a big meal, like a big thing, and I'll just be like, this is all me, and yes, I'm going to eat it all. And I'm not sharing.
Yeah.
I'll give Scott like a bite. And he's like, well, that's amazing. I'm like,
yeah, it's mine. It's mine. And it doesn't sound like you're afraid of sugar.
No, I'm not afraid of sugar. I don't have a ton of it though. I just don't like if Scott makes something sweet, I'll eat it. I don't actively seek out sweet things.
Got it.
And even his cookies, he sprinkles sea salt on them. So like my brain thinks this isn't sweet. This is a little salty treat.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But I'm not like really a sweets person, but I think that also comes from everyone in my family being diabetic, and my brain like from a very early age, I was like, sugar is the enemy. So I've always been kind of a savory bitch.
Yeah.
Because of that. But you can get diabetes from potatoes too. It's all.
It all breaks down to sugar.
It all breaks down to sugar. Yeah, exactly. That's a sugar at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you're not using it, that's sugar.
Right.
But I think I don't avoid sugar. I just don't ever I don't seek it out. But if it's there, I'm like, oh, a little sweet thing. Sure. But like I was in the office, for instance, last week for a company on site, and of course it's nothing but like the offices are full of freaking candy. There's like there's snacks, there's everywhere. They're everywhere. There's little like everything, and I didn't eat any of it.
Well, good for you.
And like our office manager was so sweet. She went out and like bought specifically vegan things, so I would have little sweet treats, and I was like, thank you, Carrie Ann. I'm not gonna eat any of this.
Aw.
I don't want any of it. But people ate it, but I was just like, I'm not gonna eat this.
That's so I wish I had that. I wish I had the ability to be like, I'm not gonna have that. Well, this has been healing for me. I don't know about you. I'm about to go on a beach vacation at the end of this week, and before you got here, actually, I was going through some clothes, trying on some bathing suits, and having to look in the mirror and be like, my body doesn't ruin this outfit.
No.
And
it's just in it.
It's just in it. And I was, saying to myself all the things that I tell myself, like, no one's going to even remember me from this, like everyone else is on vacation, whatever, And so this has been very healing for me. Thank you.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. It's definitely been healing for me. You were talking about the eating disorder stuff, and I was like thinking about college. I was like, wow, I've never really talked about like I just wasn't really eating because I wanted to lose weight. And I'm so glad I thought about that today because, like, I've come so far from that.
Yeah.
I'm not writing down how many calories
you
are
kept
in
food
something.
journals and
I'm
everything.
not like, or I'm not like trying to predict 2 pounds a week and do like the math to figure out what I'm going to be at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore. And, like getting to talk with you about this, like I realized like, oh, I'm actually I like myself now.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes to, because I'm reading a book on intuitive eating, and it's really hard for me to relinquish that feeling of, I'm reading a book on intuitive eating, but I hope that it helps me lose weight. Like I'm trying to relinquish that part of it where it's like, okay, I'm not going to be focusing on diets. I'm just going to focus on like eating based on how my body feels, but still wanting the result to be losing weight. And I think it's and I'm going to say, even though it sounds counterintuitive, the key to losing weight is letting that go.
Yeah.
Because if you do or you don't, as long as you're healthy, like when you were talking about your mom, relax, baby. I know I got to get you to the groomer. I've said that for the past 4 weeks on this show.
I love
But when
to be groomed. You're fabulous.
when you were talking about your mom and how she, had her muscles deteriorating, like when I think about my body and I think about getting older, like I want to still be able to zip around this city. I still want to be able to move. I don't want to be limited and all. And like, as long as I'm not limited, as long as I'm an able-bodied person that can like book it when I got to book it and like, get myself around, I don't have to be a model.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, and most models won't stay models forever.
right.
It's so true.
I know.
These
Beauty
bodies
is so,
it's transitory.
Yeah.
It doesn't last. None of that stuff lasts.
Yeah,
It's
it all falls. It all goes to the ground eventually.
Gravity Gravity
Yeah.
will take its toll. It always will.
Don't look up 'cause
Oh,
it's gonna come
no.
down.
Yeah.
Right, baby?
Oh.
Not you though. Your beauty will never
No.
fade.
You're always gonna be gorgeous. A gorgeous baby.
Yes,
With
yes,
a
you are.
wonderful smile that lights up a room. Those teeth.
Yeah, he can't help himself. He's beautiful.
Oh, he's
Oh,
gorgeous.
well, it's been amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Oh God, I'm terrible at social media. I have an Instagram. That Instagram is Christy Hall, y'all. Do I post often? No, not even a little
But
bit.
follow for when she starts.
Yeah, before I start posting, I deleted the app for my mental health. Like I
Hey,
really check
hey.
it.
No, that's great. That's what you should do.
I have
Yeah.
to like re-download it every now and then. Be like, oh God, do I have a message?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm in that show. I forgot.
Yep.
That's why I have honestly Instagram. Like, yeah, I can sit and scroll, but like get tagged in a group. Like, oh shit, I have that show. I forgot to write
show.
down,
Yeah,
which is a good problem to have.
That was
so.
me at the Vineyard show. I was like, oh fuck, I forgot I was doing that thing.
yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to meet there.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. I'm so glad I got to see you perform too. You were amazing.
Oh, thank you. You were amazing. What are you talking about?
Nah, you were
Guys,
amazing.
Christy is so funny. She has she where we were performing, she had a guitar and she sang these hysterical songs. She sang like 3 or 4 songs. You killed it.
Thank
It was so good. But yeah, amazing. Guys, everywhere you can find Christy will be in the description of the show, as it always is. And until next Friday, be good. Bye.